In a shocking turn of events that highlights the escalating war on drugs, the U.S. is set to send 2 survivors of a deadly boat attack back to their home countries, Colombia and Ecuador, raising urgent questions about justice and international relations. Imagine the scene. U.S. military forces launched a strike on a vessel in the Caribbean on Thursday, targeting what they believed were key players in the drug trade. President Donald Trump has announced plans to repatriate the 2 alleged drug traffickers who survived the ordeal, one to Colombia and the other to Ecuador. This move comes as part of broader efforts to combat the flow of illicit substances and criminals from Latin America to the U.S. But it begs deeper exploration into the tactics being used. For those new to international affairs, repatriation simply means returning someone to their country of origin, often after legal proceedings or detention. In this case, it's a step following the military action detailed in a recent Washington Post report on the boat strike near Venezuela. But here's where it gets controversial. How justified is such an aggressive approach in dealing with global drug issues? The Trump administration is defending the strikes by arguing that the U.S. is engaged in an armed conflict with Latin American drug cartels. These cartels, they claim, are closely tied to Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro's alleged operations to flood the U.S. with drugs and criminals. This perspective frames the situation as a full-blown war, not just law enforcement, which could potentially allow for more forceful military responses under international law. And this is the part most people miss. What if this interpretation stretches the boundaries of legal warfare? For instance, consider how declaring an armed conflict might bypass typical diplomatic channels, leading to quicker actions, but also risking unintended escalations, like accidental strikes on innocent vessels. To put it in relatable terms, think of it like a neighborhood dispute escalating into a full-scale battle. Sometimes, labeling it as war changes the rules of engagement entirely. Yet this bold stance has sparked heated debates. Is it effective in curbing drug trafficking? Or does it merely provoke more violence and resentment in affected regions? Critics might argue it undermines international norms, while supporters see it as a necessary tough stance against a persistent threat. For example, similar military interventions in past U.S. anti-drug campaigns, like operations in the 1980s against cartels in Mexico and Colombia, have had mixed results, reducing some flows but often fueling corruption and instability. So, where do you stand on this? Does classifying drug cartels as combatants in an armed conflict make sense? Or is it an overreach that could lead to more harm than good? Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree with the repatriation as justice served? Or should there be more trials and transparency? Let's hear your views and spark a conversation on balancing security with ethics.